It's time for Dads Without Dads, a platform created for men who are determined to become the dads we never had. My guest today is a very good friend of mine. One of my best friends, actually, ever in this industry. And when I say this industry, I'm talking about the entertainment industry. He's been one of the most genuine and reliable people I've ever met, and also one of the most helpful people you will ever meet. I think a lot of artists can attest to that fact. He is a music producer, a video director, originally known as M. Kaira. That means /cinematographer. He is a singer by the name of Flavor Boy. He's also a rapper by the name of Macky, and his producer name is actually DJ Booga. And there could be many other credentials to be added to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the king himself, King Booga. Oilaka.
Intro eka achira kwa kana record died.
Oh,
Nde won't fear.
nice one. Did I leave out anything?
Thanks. I'm a husband. I'm a father.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that's why I'm on this platform.
Yes, indeed.
But what is what for a copper belt? 99 jobs.
Yeah. Ukufumsha kofia kuipaya. And I'm 100.
Legal. We can do anything as long as it's legal. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. There are so many things that people have heard on songs in snippets without really knowing some of the details, particularly about your childhood. What do you remember about you being this kid called Mulaza Kaira?
So I grew up on the copper belt. On the copper belt, because of the mines, I'm sure if you've been to the copper belt or if you've stayed in any mining town, you realize that there were so many recreational activities. So tennis club, squash club, golf club, swimming pool, rugby club, cricket club, whatever sport you can think of, there was an establishment there. And this is like formally, but then there's also the informal part. Pakombo and Fefwewe and 10, 15 different activities that we used to do. You know, kulewesha otoni, kupanga mamotoka ya mawaya,
Gonda.
Amamotoka. Even just like those to my same small toy cars, because our parents couldn't afford to buy us actual toys. What about it? Tumamotoka to of Bogo Studio, Wazembura to Bogosi, then to Amawaya, then Kaki, then Nomba kwa Savano to clay.
Yes.
But when it's windy, I'm a kite. Nomba kuya samba kadai. Nomba, like I had a very fruitful childhood. So it's hard to pick like specifics.
Yeah.
All I know is if you grew up on the copper belt, there was just so much to do abundantly. So yeah.
Wow, great stuff. Ukwera kwefimuti, mwapona kwa mfimuti,
Yes.
pakuswa mango,
Yeah.
papulula embe.
There you go.
Mwatiako kabangiri, atimoto kapachipita moto kabamieso. Yeah. Is there any specific game among the many games that you played that you think has a certain significance? Like if you think about it, you were like, oh, I think a lesson I can pick up from that game is this and that.
So I think it wasn't just games, because first of all, I think when you speak of games, quite often you have a draft. So draft, like chess, requires you to think before you make a move, or sometimes even 3-4 steps ahead. So I think it makes your mind sharper. But apart from that, if mulateka Mpanya, mulateka John White, mulateka Otoni. So I think that enabled me to be more intentional about taking care of things.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's one activity that I did
So
that sort of
stewardship.
impacted yeah.
Amazing stuff, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. I love it. Let's talk about your dad. How would you describe the man that he was, and how do you remember him?
I think my dad was he was a vaishivaro varandati contradicting statements.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, dad, no. It's a beautiful mess. Or this is seriously funny. You know, that sort of thing. You know, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
he was a very formal person, but had loved music, loved fashion, would crack jokes here and there. But he was a very formal person. By formal, I mean when he was in school, he was in cadet. Obviously, our parents who grew up in those days went to national service afterwards. But then he was an accountant by profession, used to work in a bank. So this is someone who 3/4 of the time would be tucked in. You know, the only sport I remember him playing like um, when I was older was tennis. So you know he was a very formal person. But I don't know what sort of dad you had, but if we're and I guess if it's happening to everybody, it just feels normal. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kamukala komboni mulachula, takumfika timulechula.
Until
Kaina
you've
paneba, it's the same
experienced something
thing. You know
else.
what I mean? Kuskulu is the same thing. So our parents, most of us, at least I'll speak for me and the people around me, they were not as friendly as parents nowadays. So kwale bafati bambi kwale bafati kwale kwatave na surname fati Saddam Holocaust darling. You know, that sort of thing. But there was that sort of thing yako wati ngo mfu afigeti adira bafyashibais. Abakuya mkubire ngoku baya. Abakuya mkusamba. You know, that sort of thing. It was I guess it was normal for us to have those types of relationships with our parents. With our mothers, it was a bit different. In fact, our mothers used to tell us, nice and baby, we so. That would be like the biggest threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think now you'd find that your child is the one who's coming to you, tell you, Mommy did this to me. You know, that sort of thing. So it's almost like now you are, when you play good cop, bad cop with your wife or whatever, you're the good guy. But back then, chipondo cha last fight.
Would you describe him as having been a disciplinarian?
I think like I was saying about how almost all the parents that we had, like me and my
Those
friends
days,
had
yeah.
growing up, it's almost like they went to the same parenting school. You know what I mean? So, apa kulopola kulopola.
Yeah.
Quite fe na buli Bwembya otwaletebwa Mauberry.
Yes.
Malubeni. So kulopola balelopola. You know what I mean? Tetimbepe no kwe. I would say he when you just did something wrong, there's no you can't talk your way out of it. You just knew what was coming. But also like later, now that I'm all grown up, there are certain things that I realize. Like, first of all, African parenting and what a lot of us are accustomed to now is very different. In fact, if your point of reference is like Western, if what a TV,
Yeah.
Wasungu kwa America,
Eh.
you'd think our parents were really brutal, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because ukumbi Wasungu kwali bafena ile akwa bata this is child abuse. Mwana obekwa kutwala ku court, urakusa report ku child welfare services or something like that. But with us, again, thinking back, I really feel like they did what they were supposed to do
In that time.
Yeah. Also, again, you have to look at the type of grooming they went through or what they knew.
Right.
Now, I think a lot of us have like point of references and we're not temkolonyo. Kwali bako yako that you are a bit more informed than our parents. I think whatever point of reference that they had is just knowledge that was passed down from generation to generation to generation. 30 years ago, women belong in the kitchen, that sort of thing. Now, even the thought of that is like, it's unheard of. Like,
Napa kwambira Paula.
How are you? That sort of thing. But then it was almost a normal thing. So yeah, I think when I look back, I think he did all he could do. Especially that abafyashwe squad bati baba survival mode. So all they are trying to do is put a roof over your head. If they can take you to school, college, when they have done their part. But if bakula kufenga ndafi. Nokutwala fyabana ku school they have done their part. I think looking at where they came from, they didn't even think it was possible to do, like to build generational wealth or to build an empire, or that was reserved for a very small percentage, maybe even just 1% of the population. So our parents just felt like all they needed to do was to take care of the family and make sure you have 3 meals a day, skulula, wapuishe skulu, and church.
Yeah.
That was a big part of it, because I remember ukulopola wakutana nowali ngatawire ku church.
Yeah,
So I think when I look back, I think they did that.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. I like when you mention church, because I still recall that the first time I visited you on the Copper Belt and spent some time, like a week in your house, one of the things I came across was your baptism certificate.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's something you have really been proud of, because you keep it very safely.
Yeah.
And that's what's up. That's what's up. So Dads Without Dads is brought to you by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, an organization that looks at HIV/AIDS advocacy, treatment, testing, and linkage. And right now we take a break. Welcome back. On the song Nangubanchinge, which is one of your biggest songs ever, in my opinion, because I really love that song. That song talks about resilience. It talks about defying the odds and how you were able to overcome so many things that could have been against you, and you are an achiever. But then at the end, on the outro, you then mention that you lost your mom when you were about 8, I think, and that you lost your dad when you were in 7th grade, somewhere there. Yeah, and that line really, really touched my heart. So I would love to know what you remember about the time that you lost your parents and how that impacted you. And if you are able to do that in the same breath, you can also talk about then who took up the responsibility after you lost your parents.
Um, so, yeah, my mom died when I was 8. My dad died when I was 15. And he died of pneumonia. Um, it wasn't a short illness. I think he was in and out of hospital for like a month or something. So I wouldn't say it was one of those situations where bachula sana again whatever it wasn't. In fact, I remember being shocked and feeling like, wow, is this really happening? One thing that we don't give kids enough credit for is how intelligent and aware they actually are. Because I was 15 and I know, like where I was, I knew exactly what I was going through. I felt everything, you know. And I just remember knowing that I am now an orphan. Yeah. The thing about like nowadays things have changed, but back then, uh, all of us had extended families, like actual extended families, where
Right. It literally took a village to raise a child. Huh? Yeah.
like actual extended families where panganda pamienufi. Noronka 2-bedroom house. Body dependence 5, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so also like the phrase "Pafuawan Pashalawan" is literally driven from situations like that, where because your dad is no more, there are his brothers, his cousins, and there are so many other places that you'd go to, and they would raise you like their own. It's not as easy as I'm saying it, but it was like a normal thing. Yeah, it was a normal thing for your dad's elder brother or younger brother to be like, okay, no, no, send the call, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I at that particular point, my dad was working for Indo Zambia Bank, just here in Lusaka. So when he died, I had to be shipped back to Chingola to stay with my dad's youngest brother. But again, because I knew uh, what was going on, I even knew like this man is not necessarily a replacement of my dad.
So it can't
Know what
be
I mean?
exactly the same.
Yeah, it can't be exactly the same. But also, he was like my age right now when he
Yeah.
took me in.
Ah.
So it's not, it was between like an elder brother and a dad, you know, somewhere in between, but it did not directly translate into like a replacement of your dad. But the second thing, and I think that was like the most important thing or a turning point for me, is me realizing like I don't have the opportunities that I had now that my father is no. I can't afford to be nonchalant about school, about the way I carry myself, and so on and so forth. So it's almost like in that very moment, you grow up. You know what I mean? And again, because I knew where I was and I knew what was happening, there was um, there are things that I did deliberately. For example, after I went to my uncle's house, it's it's in Kabundi East. It's a 2-bedroom house, and of course, but if you're dependents, so it means that you are sleeping in the sitting room.
Uh-huh.
So lolera vapusha kutamba TV iri muhanshika.
Kuvarapwishisha.
Nga
And by kwanshika you mean pansh.
yes, kwanshika, but sometimes What a small mattress
Yeah.
that would keep under the bed. Pakashana kule. Then ngawaira nkuya kafumika mattress. It was me and my young brother. Chef would sleep pasiti. And then in the morning, kaidi kubuka wapyange. So you have to wake up early in the morning again. But because you know, first of all, you haven't gone to like very well-to-do family. You know, like even these people, they have no business helping you. They need help themselves. You know, that sort of thing. Like it's my uncle was a Shmine, and it's something that I really appreciate to this day because it's not like you have everything you need or you can afford like a proper lifestyle.
Yeah.
But with the little that you have, you can still accommodate other people. I think that's something that I really respect, and there's something that's I even try to emulate even now. Like I don't have to have 1 million kwacha in my account to help you.
And
You know
to be
what I mean?
happy as well.
Yeah. The little that I have, I can share. So when I went to Chingola, I saw the situation. I saw like, oh, okay, so here, gansha pose kwa manal ka bad then.
Oh.
And that's something that you don't. When someone is trying to help you, ufiro wamone kazowana even you are trying to make it happen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Muntu ngwasanga lesunga kumotoka isizi kumwafwa.
Yeah.
Then wasanga na cheating after motoka knife.
Yeah.
So I deliberately tried to make myself an asset. So whatever idea kwa wati a bond. Kuntanshuku mwalibyala kwa ifuma onion na 5 years. I showed them at 5
5
years.
years, yes. And I think it's literally 5 years.
Oh, really?
Musalulia.
Kula saba 5 years.
Then kwati it's got like 9 lives. Ngayapwa futa again just a sprout again.
Oh. Kuntanshuku mwalibyala kapinga. That Simba grass.
Simba grass. Yeah.
So, in the morning before you go to school, you water the garden and you water the lawn, then you go to school. Even in the evening, tuaita mukubina pakona fe pa street na guys mlei shako. But even before you do that, china uchita water. O weekend wamia kofe panse kwempa ifuma flowers. Ama window fe imagine kuamia ma window. But doing all that stuff just to make yourself an asset than a liability. Urechitako vyotuntutako vati navanene navale kusunga vamona tawe chichimwe chadiva useful. You know, that sort of thing. Also, the other thing I tried to do is just stay away from trouble. So maybe it's that's why even now maybe I don't drink. It's because by that time, whatever that, just try by all means to stay away from trouble because you know, like your situation, you know. So kumia sutran that mulandu mume.
Right.
Some to those that don't know, mume is that mist, the water that's from the mist that's like in a path in the bush. So when you're walking through the path, you know, that sort of thing. So sometimes as young men, we find ourselves in problem. No matter how much you're trying to stay away, sometimes kwa wafatu waisanga problem. So kwa vati ufide wakasotinga fitakafire yakafika kunganda. Noroko skuru wako vati kesena vafyash.
Kuwetita haya vafyash.
Chawa mwapanga vyoto. Wapanga vyash pa narampanga ko something 10 months to represent. So if you ask my parents or my uncle and my aunt, people who raised me, clean record. Tapa wapo atadi pango mulandu kutapa wapo. Wow. Because I knew like, man, I lost my parents. these people are just literally doing me a favor. I can't afford to mess up.
Yeah.
But also, I think looking back, they say sometimes things don't happen to you; they happen for you. You know, like even things that in the moment you felt like this is the worst thing that would happen to me, it has a way that it contributes to who you eventually become. So I know if my dad was around, there was no way I was going to be an artist.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
there
likely
was
to be an
no.
accountant,
He
maybe.
really just he was big on academic, like go to school, that sort of thing. I'm sure he would have wanted me to be an accountant or an engineer or a lawyer or something like that, like very a formal job, like a very formal job. But apart from that, I think me losing him made me again more independent, more aware, more deliberate about who I wanted to become, and it just made me work harder than I would have if I knew like there was a safety net.
Yeah.
No matter how much you feared your father or ABCD, but you knew didn't quite a backup.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. I think that the people that played the father figure role in your life did a very good job, because you turned out to be a good man who's looked at as an inspiration and a role model to many other young people out there. I hear so many people, even in here, even among the people on the crew here, I know one who's truly, truly inspired him over there. He's always talking about you, and
Oh, wow.
he's always imitating you and your voice. Yeah, so they did a really, really good job.
Thanks,
So I'm about to ask you about your own fatherhood journey, particularly how you felt the first time you got the news that you were about to be a dad. But before that, we have a word from the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Welcome back. So, Mr. Kaira, how did
Yes,
you
Mr.
feel
Bwembya.
the first time you got the news that you were about to be a dad?
So every time that someone every time that someone is told you're about to be a father, it only goes mostly two ways. It's either you are so frightened because now pero mwana wabe nefumo, or you are so happy that you've created a mini you. Shishi venga nalikwete ka persona kampondoro shani tapali wambe peshapo ati yo shani yo talambe. Nani ule, is it you or B1?
Me,
There was someone.
B1, and several other people. I can't mention them here, but yeah, for myself, B1, we've shared this story with you about.
Yeah, about some
About
person who just came and said, "Oh,
Yeah.
this one is your child.
Yeah.
Remember."
You've never experienced it.
Never.
Wow.
Aishava chipondo chitesese mkuvepe ife yakufa.
Kwamba win.
Yeah, but it was like maybe 2 years after me and my wife got married. And 2 years is really a long time. You know that?
In the African sense, I think.
Yes.
Because
But
of
in
the expectation from the
Exactly.
people around you.
Yeah. In an African setup, kuvathatinga maupana vamba nokurorera.
Barirusha na punch 30. Hello.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Twamona the 12 months yako anatamulirira ko san mng'anda. Yeah. But it's quite frankly, I nalikuwa kufika relationship na most of my relatives where they can't go around saying something. They would just call me to tell me if, even when I'm trending for something, they'll just call me, hey, Bashfe, it's shine hapa. Or, that sort of thing. So I think I have a good relationship with most of my immediate family. So even something like that, I'm sure sometimes it even comes from like a good place when people come to you and tell you that tumona napapita 5 years. No, what's going on? Or this is maybe what you should do, or we can help in such a way. Sometimes it's not even like they're being nosy or whatever. It's sometimes it comes from a good place. And sometimes maybe they could help.
Oh yeah.
But I never faced any of that stuff. Again, maybe
Also, in the 2 years, you never really received any pressure from family.
No pressure.
Friends, neighbors.
No pressure.
Okay.
No pressure. Maybe that pressure.
Maybe bayikwetebe na mumitima shabo.
Maybe I just never sort of experienced it. But also at that particular time, my career, I'd say, had really taken off, and I was doing a lot of things, really trying to make something out of my life. When you come from where I come from, I think you are a bit more deliberate about making sure you don't go back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So also, like at that particular point, I had known a lot of artists who became big, and now when you look at them, it's sort of a sorry sight.
Right.
So at that particular point, I just felt like right now things are going well. Let me do as much as
Maximizing the
I can.
opportunity.
Yeah. So I wasn't even thinking of having a child like that. But when the news came, it was probably the best news that I had heard at that particular time.
Okay. So it wasn't planned. It was an oops baby. Oh,
Yes.
it has happened.
Yes.
Okay.
What, you planned your baby like, hey, let's make a baby?
Well,
Where at Pange?
No. But by virtue of being married, I think that one of the things I was looking forward to was becoming a father, even if it's not my own child, even if it's just adopting someone or having a dependent, and just knowing that I am responsible for the well-being of another person.
Yeah.
So it's something I was looking forward to personally. Like nakwaza kufe nangu ka mini me, like you said, kade pitana kwa hapa na hapa nangu tekandi biologically, but paliko fyaka muntu ule kasambirisha kwenshira wakatumako, just that experience. I was looking forward to it.
I think before you get married, you are a bit more careful about making sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
When you're married, for me, it wasn't about, okay, let's make it happen. It was like, if it happens, it happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but when it happened, it was the best news I had heard. Also, there's something about, wait, you have a son or a daughter?
A daughter.
There's something about us, the guys, having dads. Like, Mwila's first child is a girl. Like, Peterson's first child is a Pilatos' first child is a, like, I'd go on and on about a lot of my peers. But also, like, girls are closer to their dads. So I knew even before she was born, I was going to have a very special relationship with her.
With your dad.
Yeah. Faith.
Why the name?
Faith, man. Like,
see, you had faith.
Yeah, but it's also played like a vital role in my life. Like, everything I became was because I believed so much it would happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm big on faith. So I wanted my first child to just be named Faith.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think you picked up, even unintentionally, some parenting skills either from your dad or from the father figure that you had, your uncle, after dad passed? such that maybe today when you see certain things in the way that you're doing your parenting, you could say maybe that looks a bit similar?
Yeah. I think, first of all, everything that my parents learned was passed down from, generation to generation, from their parents to them. Whether you are aware of it, it happens. There are just certain things that you pick up even subconsciously. So I know I picked up a lot of things. Of course, I have like an amazing relationship with my kids. They are not scared. They are scattered.
Mwabutuku.
Now, my kids look forward to me coming home, and when I'm home, they just want to be around me, and they tell me all these weird stories I have no business hearing. But when I put my foot down,
It
goes back to studying.
yeah, I'm Pedro.
Yeah. My wife is really like the disciplinarian in our home. She's the one that scolds them. If someone needs spanking, she's the one that does it.
So now you're the one.
But
You're the one telling the kids that narabe baba noko.
not really. It's still like she's the one who does it, but they know at uyuta fulo ngafulwa. Yeah. So and I guess I get that from my uncle and my dad's parenting.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. So you are a celebrity dad, and that's a whole different dynamic sometimes. Are you being intentional, or how are you actually ensuring that you're not raising spoiled kids? Because being a celebrity sometimes may also present some level of entitlement in your kids, because they know my dad is Macky too. My dad is this big superstar in Africa, and I can get anything I want. So are you being intentional about not giving them everything so that they can experience some things, or are you more like compensating for what you yourself went through because you don't want them to go through some of the things, so you would just rather spoil them and give them everything, and then it's up to them?
That's really like a loaded question.
I know.
So first of all, I think that question is in two folds, or it applies to two different people. So there's, you have money, you are rich. So there's the way that your kids will be brought up just based off that the virtue that you've got money.
Yeah, and that's
And
exactly
two-
what I mean, because you are Macky too, you've got money, you are wealthy, you've made a lot of money in
I
the
don't know
last.
what you're talking about,
you know.
but so there's that, and then there's you are a celebrity. So sometimes these can be two different factors. So if you're a celebrity, whether you've got money or you don't, there's just something that comes with that, and it might affect your kids. Your kids will go to some place, and because they know this is this one's kid, they'll be treated a certain way. Some stuff they didn't even sign up for.
Right.
So first of all, in terms of just making sure that I don't raise spoiled kids and so on and so forth, I believe there are two types of people. So there's one went through like a really hard time growing up. They suffered, went through poverty, but when they made it, they become more of yeah. And they just can't easily give money because they know the value, they know what has gotten them there is the hard work. Even for their kids, tuma mwana wa myaka oromotoka, they don't pay their pocket money. And sometimes it comes from a good place. Like, I don't want you to be spoiled, so I'm going to teach you the hustle.
So it's a type of training.
So there's one. Person two is just someone who also went through all that hardship, poverty, and so on and so forth. But they became more generous. Even when you come asking for help, they're like, I know what this person is going through. I've been there. Even their kids, they're like, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. so they'll have everything they need. What I've tried to do is sort of create a balance between those two types. So, of course, I don't want my kids to be spoiled. Whether we like it or not, tinavana vandu rich kids, vakava rich kids iwe. By 14 share potako Benz. You know, and yeah, it's they need to reap the benefits. That's why we work this hard. But I try by all means to instill certain values in them so that they're not spoiled. First of all, like your struggle story. Like, oh, I suffered while growing up. I fought already once a day, or we used to walk 7 kilometers to go to school, and all those stories. They might sound like glory stories or how you are a hard man because you went through, but in reality, you are not supposed to go through those things. It's unfortunate that you went through those things. You are broken. You need healing because you went through those things.
You're traumatized.
You are traumatized. So now imagine traumatizing your children because you want them to have certain values. I think if we can find a way of instilling those values in our kids without them going through what they went through, I think it would be better. And that's why I'm trying it.
I love that. I had a conversation with Stephen Mikalile one time, and we're talking about how he's a privileged man, and then his kids are growing up in riches, and so sometimes they would be on holiday, and maybe he would want to, to take certain things away from them just for them to also experience a certain life. But they still know, they're like, Dad, let's just do it. You can afford it.
Yeah.
So he was saying, no matter how much I may try to be that tough person based on my experiences, it can't really be the same with my kids because they know where they are. So you just have to strike a balance in terms of the lessons, like you've said.
Yeah.
And that's a good one. You talked about your kids sometimes, even your family in general, not signing up for certain things that they would have to experience because they're associated with you, because they are your children, because they are your family. And I know that sometimes as celebrity dads, sometimes our kids get to face certain things. Personally, one time I read a comment which was really hurtful, where someone said, akamwana kali suba, like bali kasuba or something, because my child is light skinned, and then someone says, akamwana bali kasuba, because vanina bali suba, because there's that narrative sometimes where people will just say, oh, maybe the wife is bleached. Oh, so they also had to bleach the child's skin so that apala neko abiko close to the mother or something like that. And it can really be hurtful sometimes,
Yeah.
How do you personally deal with trolls and maybe cyberbullying towards your own family, your kids who didn't sign up for this, like you put it?
First of all, I think, and again, I don't know why I'm putting this disclaimer now when I should have done it Pakwamba. Everything I say here is not gospel truth. It's not politically correct or what. It's just my own experiences, sharing my own point of view. Obviously, I'm thick-skinned after being in the industry for this long, especially that you and me sort of got into the industry before Facebook became this thing, or before social media became this big, and almost everybody's got an opinion now, and now people are literally looking for like what will trend, and they understand negativity trends, and they'll try and say something that will get engagements or some sort of reaction. So because I grew up before it became this thing, over the years you grow thick-skinned and you know how to deal with certain things. Certain things you just avoid. Certain things don't even get to you. Family is a different thing someone can talk about how my song is weak or how my sense of fashion is off, or they would talk about me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But someone talks about my family, it gets to me. But I know how to handle it. I know how to deal with it. I've done it. I've dealt with it for years. Apart from my family and my kids not signing up for that, they haven't had the privilege of going through this whole thing and sort of learning how to deal with it or growing thick-skinned. So it affects them way more. They don't get paid for it also. Inenoro mletu kana ndafolerapo pali akene ka brand, so it's okay. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've tried by all means to have a life away from the public eye and the entertainment industry and so on and so forth. And I've nuka fe. Na nuka fe oyuteo.
Yeah.
The person that I am at home, and the person that people know when they listen to the music are completely different. Maybe now because we did the reality TV show, and when I went to Big Brother, at least people got to see like a snippet of what type of person I really am. Maybe those people have like a better understanding. But Tiringirine, as an artist, and this is what most people are only getting to know now because of social media and because people have a bit more access into people's lives, is ile character bapanga fe. If you decide that you are going to be a dance or artist, wamba nokulanda patwa. But wakulia fe ulilanda vechibemba fe. You know, that sort of thing. But
Yes.
for the brand, the B-Flow brand, you can decide that, okay, me I'm a ragamuffin. Or even my dressing, red, gold, and green. Shan. Walipanga fe. No kwenda fe foenda fe as a
Yes, I.
ni.
But
then, kwadi banomba ile ya kunganda fe.
Wainuka.
And there are very few people that I know who are the same person.
Yeah.
Kwa fenoro ati daddy so mwana wa mkomboni. General Kanene.
Or who will be
Why celeb?
Who will be how you know them on stage.
They're
always in character.
New life.
Yeah. Would you describe Dandy to have been in that category where he's like
Dandy, a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because the Dandy with his kids, with his wife, is a very sweet guy. He's just a very sweet, responsible guy. So also I saw parts of him where he would be more comical and try and make everybody laugh and ABCD. But if you know Dandy, there were times when he would really be serious and would just, nothing funny. He's just, you know what I mean? So I think he was closer to the person that he was as an artist, but there was a part of him that was really just, you have to know him to experience it. So yeah, because my kids didn't sign up for this other life, I try by all means not to post them on social media that much, unless maybe it's just my kid's birthday or we go somewhere where it's even just when we did the reality TV show, it's like a long conversation I had with my wife.
To prep them. You got to prep the family. Whether
we're going to do it or not, like the decision it's not just some decision I made by myself. It's like a decision where we're going to bring cameras into our home and we're just literally going to invite everybody to have an opinion on our lives. So let's have a conversation around what's safe to put out there and what not. Of course, it's reality TV show and we try and by all means to be as realistic as possible. But there are just certain things that you're not going to do. So even after the show, there are certain things that, like, you don't know which school my kid goes to.
No
you
idea.
don't know which church she goes to, or there are certain specifics that are just.
So certain parts of your life deliberately are kept away from that, so that you're able to draw a distinction between your public life and your private life.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping up. This is DWD, Dads Without Dads. Welcome back to Dads Without Dads, a platform created for men and fathers who are determined to be the dads we never had. My name is BBDBBB Flo, and I have my good friend,
The dopest, freshest name in the game. Macky, aka Flavor Boy, aka Honorable.
Yes, I. So, honorable. Apa ninkwatako ili pusho iyakwevati. When we were growing up, every time you heard bayama baisa, ba uncle baleisa, there was this excitement that we would always feel because uncles would bring gifts.
Yeah.
And usually I think you want to tell them stories, and they also have very juicy stories that once they leave, you'll be reflecting on, I'd like to know, what type of uncle are you to Kwacha, who happens to be Shefi's son?
So it's pretty much what type of uncle I'm going to be. I'm sure like Kwacha is too young for me to have like an actual relationship with him. But I know the young chap gets excited every time he sees me. The thing about like those uncles coming to our home and being as cool as they were, for the most part, I don't even think they were really as cool as. It's just that ni snippet. Interact, so they'll have all the energy, they'll give you the attention and so on and so forth. But believe me, if you stayed with them for a year,
You will see another side.
yeah, you will see another. They won't be as patient and so on and so forth.
So maybe the question should be, what type of uncle are you looking forward to being to Kwacha?
The type of uncles I had is, first of all, I think my uncles from my mom's side were younger. They introduced me to a lot of music. It's almost like ule monat so nganakula efonkala pita mwefi, or have these privileges. I'll have no curfew. You know, that sort of thing. It's almost like a preview to who you are going to be. I know I'd want to be that. I'd want to be like a guide, a godfather, an inspiration, someone that he could run to for whatever. The same thing I was telling you about, how sometimes you would be in trouble. Yeah, I'd want to be that person where Teta Tino kusamkunja batwa.
Ikari.
So
Chikarich. Pun intended. Well, so we'll be concluding now, and I know that you are big on therapy. Why is that important to you? Why do you think it's important for men to seek help and go for therapy in an environment like Africa, where for some reason I think we are so stuck up with the whole idea of no, just be a man.
First of all, I think I'm big on, what do you call it, masculinity.
Yes, I.
But I'm big on men being men. I'm big on men need to provide. I'm big on men need to be the strong one in the family. You know what I mean? So it's us growing up the way we grew up is not necessarily a bad thing. You know what I mean? Someone has to take charge. The hierarchy has to be respected. Now, for the hierarchy to be respected, people have to act a certain way. But we need to do better in terms of how we treat ourselves. Also, just we need to be a bit more informed. Some things we need to educate ourselves. In 2017, 2018, I went through this process where I had proper writer's block. I couldn't write anything. Like creatively, nothing was making sense. And ila ine yakutino kuwekera nkuchula kuti aumona ati
Yeah.
nava mudenja apa. Ndefira okupanga. You know, that sort of thing. So I went through this journey of self-discovery deliberately, where I needed to know what my muse is. I think ngore churo repita mutundu twingi. Uchushwe weka the inspiration and motivation enough. But when things stabilize, wambo kwata, that's when now you need to find out what your muse is, what inspires you, what's that thing that really keeps you going. And sometimes it's not something that you know just naturally. Sometimes you have to go and find it. You have to search deep within yourself to know. Like, so there are certain things that I found out, like just in terms of what gets my creative juices flowing when I'm stressed, what I need to do so that I'm a bit more soothed, or when I've got fatigue. Because sometimes kula bati wadinaka nololale uikare deo de panganda na unaka fie.
Yeah.
So you need to do something that makes you feel rested. And it's not the same thing for everyone. So each of us need to find what that thing is.
That makes
so what I encourage a lot of young people to, a lot of men to do, is just to deliberately do a bit more self-discovery. Just try out new things, learn about yourself. Because whether we, like I said, we need to heal. And if we don't heal, we'll project. There are certain behaviors that you exhibit because of what you've been through. Yeah. So if you don't sort that out, or you don't confront it, or you don't find a way of dealing with it, you always keep doing these things, and it holds us back.
That's true. I once talked about something. We were driving along Kafua Road. I think we were going to film King Booga, the reality show. And then you mentioned something about how, like, so many things happened in your life where you just keep winning and winning and winning. You keep winning awards and whatnot. And then it's like you stop feeling so grateful, or you stop feeling the impact of actually winning, because it becomes like a way of life. And then you've never really had the time to process all that victory that has happened in your life. And that in a way may also affect you. And then now you need to sit back and really process and say, actually, I have done a lot of winning. It's like you're just in work mode and you're just going.
This happened. With that, it's not even a thing of like it might affect me in future negatively. It's just that this is an amazing thing that has happened. And you never felt great. You just, oh yeah, we did it, and you're on. And, you know, posting on Facebook saying, yeah, we won, we did it, thank you to the fans and ABCD is not necessarily processes it. You have to take a moment to really like see like, Lizona is a good. Yeah. And sometimes it takes, sometimes we're checking if muchibogo somewhere we get into fiakari wasanka picture. Kwa akarosha wa picture was a picture. We made it. Hey,
I love
Zona. Because if you don't see that, if you don't see that, or if you don't deliberately think about where you come from and so on and so forth, again, because of how we grew up, the idea is now to just make sure, Zona, we never go back. So your mind is set on just the mountaintop. How are we going to make sure that we certify? So even when good things are happening, you're on to the next, and you're just looking at how you're going to get to your fullest potential. Yeah. So yeah, I'm big on mental health because I know like how sometimes if you don't take care of yourself, it will affect so many things, even just productivity or what you'd have eventually been. Yeah. I'm not an expert on it. Every single day I try and just learn more about myself, more about how I can just remain healthy mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you should consider studying podcast. I know it kind of sounds cliche because like these days everyone is starting a podcast, but I think you have a lot to offer, even away from the music. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I know you as a person who reads a lot, a person who researches a lot, a person who listens to whether it's docu-series and
Yeah.
audiobooks and many other things. That's how I know you, because you're well researched. So I think that you have a lot to offer, and maybe I don't know whether you were planning to create some platform. I know you have Olijaba,
Yeah.
and Olijaba itself, I think it's like a hub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least it's supposed to be. Sometimes I feel like 24 hours is not enough. You know, that sort of thing. There's so many ideas that I would want to explore. To young creatives out there, the part of the beauty about living in a third world country is that there are so many ideas that haven't been touched, so many untapped opportunities. Um, and all the things that I've been able to do, the only it just took me deciding to do it. You know, we were doing that 10 of 10 project where we would go to different provinces and would
Identifying talent.
identify talent, and created this album, and we did it 3 times. Yeah, we go around the country. We did it 3 times, so we have 3 seasons of it. And all it took is me deciding to do it. We didn't have the budget for it. We didn't have a lot of money to do it, but somehow we made it happen. So sometimes all it takes is you doing it. Recently, I did a song with the Glorious Band, and the Glorious. I grew up listening to those guys. I'm from Chingola. The Glorious Band were the first people. Of course, Piquet Chala is from Chingola, and we had a lot of great people from Chingola. But in my era, when I was trying to get into the music, the Glorious Band, everyone I'm going to aban ndabamona, bare pitana, vapisha, na bamona. You know, inspiration ya pa TV, ne ya ma magazine, na ipisana kone ya kumumuono muntu. Uyu.
Yes.
So
I felt that about artists like Emiroots and Ozzy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we grew up in the same environment. Then when I saw it happening,
you're like, it's possible.
like what?
Yeah. So full circle, being able to do a song with a Glorious Band and, you know, work on a song that, like, I used to listen to this song, I used to love it. One of my favorite Glorious Band songs. Was all it took was for me to just say, okay, here's an idea that I have. Let me call these people and let's make it happen. You know what I mean? So again, to all the young creatives out there, if you have this amazing idea, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it exist. Then Ukuntanj will make it better and perfect, but just make it exist first.
So the most important thing is just to start.
To start.
I know, I love that. I love that. When I was planning to start this particular show here, I think for some reason I kept procrastinating. And yet I had the idea for about 2 years before actually launching it. And so what was happening is, I think in my mind I was relying on maybe if I find a sponsor, maybe if someone comes in and gives me some money, then that's when I'll be able to start. And I actually regret not having started on time, because I think a lot of people delayed me because I was relying on them, even organizations, companies, and whatnot. And that's why I'm really grateful even to the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, because I feel like they were the first to believe in the vision. Because once I sat down with them and I explained what I was trying to,
They were the second.
achieve. Oh, yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
after me.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yes, yes. So I believed in my vision and I took it to different people. And then some point I felt exhausted. Like, why am I sharing my idea with all these people and they're not coming forth? But once I mentioned it to them, they were quick to say, this is a brilliant idea. We can actually do it even internationally. But for now, let's start with maybe this to help you maybe with just the production, and then we see how we can scale it. And so I'm grateful to them for that. And talking about the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, in one of your towns, in the town where you have your studio, one of your other studios, Alpha Entertainment
Yeah, in dollar.
in Dola, they have built a men's wellness clinic.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so for you, a person like yourself who loves therapy and you're encouraging other men to also go for therapy, that's a facility that people can make use of. It's in Masala. It's called Masala Men's Wellness Clinic. So one of those places where even for us as public figures, many times I feel we can't go to certain places and get checked and whatnot because of how society sometimes perceives us or even judges us. So we need a safe space. So
Yeah.
the Masala Men's Wellness Clinic is a safe space. There's also one called Lusungu here in Lusaka, somewhere in town just behind Bulima Tower bus station. And there's a way that they schedule their appointments. Sometimes you don't even have to go there.
Oh nice.
Yeah, but it's always a safe space where even public figures like ourselves can go and access even health services, even HIV testing, and other important health checks.
Great.
Yeah, so this has been amazing, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
I've really,
for-
really enjoyed the conversation and knowing a lot of parts of your life that I had no idea of. Yeah, how you grew up and what influenced the man you have become and the father you have become. And I know that you're a great dad to your kids, and may you keep it up. I wish you well in everything that you are doing in 2026 and beyond. I'm excited for you this particular year. I don't want to say much,
Yeah.
but I'm rooting for you, and I'm truly, truly excited.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Yeah, this is a great platform. We have a lot of podcasts doing different things, but I think this is like a very important platform, especially that it's specific to dads and fatherhood. Iringi if you have met sana mano. I was reading statistics on like what trends the most, and we are at bottom of the list. That sort of thing. So it's an amazing platform. Thank you so much for creating it, and I hope a lot more people will be willing to come and share their stories, and I hope people are inspired by this one.
Thank you so much, man. I don't take that for granted. Thank you so much for your kind words. I've been hosting my good friend Macky too, and we've had a fantastic conversation. But let me know what you think about some of the lessons that you have learned from what he has shared about his own life and how he grew up and what influenced his fatherhood journey today. We are grateful to the AIDS Healthcare Foundation for powering this here podcast called Dads Without Dads. Also, big thanks to the crew. We've got our production management company, Navin Agency. We also have our director and directoring firm, Big Man X, Mr. Justin. We are grateful to you, sir. Thanks to our DOP, Prince Gifts in the building. Thanks to Mr. Dennis D2 Mulongoti, our logistics manager, not forgetting Mr. Mushas, our runner, as well as Terrence Pictures, our media production partner, and everybody else that loves this show. Most importantly, thanks to you for watching. And please remember to subscribe to BFlow TV. And this podcast will also be available on many other platforms. We sign out.